Alluvial Fan? I haven't got a clue.
I don't know what you see after a couple beers.
Alluvial is short for elusive.
The Alluvial Fan generates a giant wind that propels the alluvials across their journey from birth to death.
What is an alluvial?
It's actually...
I'm assuming it has something to do with how the rock formations happened, and I don't know if this would have been Ice Age activity or something else, but that would be my guess.
Hey.
It said on the sign when we came in here. Yeah.
Huh.
Alluvial Fan.
I'm guessing it has something to do with Colorado then.
So, home stretch. Any thoughts about yesterday? Did anyone have a big epiphany yesterday, or something important they learned while being actually out there shooting landscape?
Sometimes with so much grandeur, it's hard to pick one subject.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And sometimes with landscape, you just might want to make the landscape the subject, yes.
It's hard to get everything you want in focus.
It's hard to get everything you want in focus, yeah. That's where learning about aperture, focal length, and subject distance comes into play. So if you get that down, and that's where DOF-Master helps you, and the depth of field calculators or PhotoCalc on the iPhone, few bucks, go get it, it's good. It's even got zone system reference and stuff in there.
Did they make it for a phone?
No.
Hey Chris, one of the things I saw was that, that place we went up to there, the real high point, I would have been snapping a ton of pictures there before this week's class. But when I got there, I just really didn't see the image because I knew it would all be flattened down. It would just be a dead image by the time I took it back home. And I shot a couple just as test shots, and it really just was just too flat for me. I now know why those didn't work for me before.
So the realization that our 3D vision doesn't really translate to photography, it's a very important one. When we look 3D, we have the wall in the front, and we have people around us that give that thing its depth. When we take a picture of just the landscape from the high vantage point, all you get is a flat landscape. And some of those might look really nice. I have one that has like geometrical shapes in it, fields with different things growing on them, and paths in between, and one green meadow with little sheep on and stuff. And that was a really nice picture. But unless you get something like that going, the only thing you can do is layer it. Again, get something in the foreground, a boulder, a rock. There at the lake there were these submerged trees. So if you could get close enough to those, that would have worked. Any other experiences from yesterday?
Infrared photography with a filter is really hard.
Okay, so there are two different ways of infrared photography here. She had the camera modified, so she had the infrared blocker taken out and a vis block built in, so the visible light is blocked out, just the infrared light gets through to the sensor. Lee had, and that way she can do handheld photography in infrared, in the infrared spectrum. Lee has a regular camera that has the infrared blocker still in there in front of the sensor, but it still lets a bit of infrared through. So by putting it on the vis blocker on front of the lens, he basically, the photons basically are reduced to a trickle. That take their time to get to the sensor. So you were in the 20-30 seconds exposure time,
20
right?
20 to 25, 30 seconds at one time. The hardest part was guessing your focus.
Because you don't really see anything.
You can't see, it's like a mud filter, right? The second thing was actually framing the shot, because I can't see anything through the viewfinder, which meant it was a guess every single shot, because I wasn't in the mood to take the filter off and then put the filter on with each shot. That would have taken hours.
Here we go. So what's the number one thing you learned so far in the workshop?
Oh, to think differently.
To think differently.
Really, and seeing other people's work and seeing how different people see has been an awakening experience for me.
An alluvial fan is a pile of rocks and sand and debris that comes out of a valley between two mountains, and piles up in a fan when it hits the flat valley floor.
Randall, yes. Can you tell me, can you explain to me, like scientifically, what is an alluvial fan?
I think it's someone who's really fond of alluvials.
Really?
Yeah, a fan.
So what would they do? What's the kind of stuff they would say?
Well, alluvial rocks. And here we are. These are alluvial rocks.
Alluvial is short for elusive, and it's a specific type of bird in Colorado that they call the alluvial fan. It's got a huge tail on the back, and basically in its mating season, it gets out and it flutters up its back fan, and it starts going quack, 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 like this.
Yeah, what Lee said, I think he nailed it. So what do you think about those two loonies?
Oh, I don't know. They could be right. I could be completely wrong. My education may have failed me. I don't know.
You know how when you fly too close to the sun, your wings burn?
I think Randall's got some altitude sickness, actually.
Similarly, when these things flew too close, from the fans were propelling them too close to the Rocky Mountains, they turned into rocks.
Because at about 10:05, people start to go a little batty, and they get lightheaded, and they start making up stories.
It was horrible. It was a fiasco. Happened on a Thursday.